comments.
Welcome to Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and once again I'm joined by Jim Simonetti, Paul Kelly and Stevie Mullen to have a look back on a comprehensive 3-0 victory. It's got to be said, Stevie.
Absolutely delighted. I think Callum McGregor was outstanding. Personally today I'd have gave James Forrest man of the match, but again vindication that when you're playing a centre forward, you know, they don't need to be the fittest, they're between the posts and they can score, they don't need to be running their route. But again, even the boy Klamala, 2 great runs off the ball to create the space. But all in all, a great 3-0 victory after the tumultuous week, so well done to Celtic.
Now, when we were looking at the predictions, Stevie, what was your prediction before the game?
3-1.
3-1. Paul? 4-0?
Yeah, it was 4-0, yeah. I thought it could easily have been 4-0 in the second half. I think Klamala's missed 2 very good chances. I think Celtic's performance in the second half is the sort of thing that will relax us a lot more over the season. You know, I thought we looked in total control of the second half from start to finish.
Absolutely. We spoke about the fact that we had been very critical of the performance, the team selection and everything else on Wednesday night, Stevie, but you know, it is always great to get back to winning ways, which we've done today. Jim, when you look at the formation, obviously it changed as we went on and we went to 3 at the back. Jeremy Frimpong looked like his old self again, didn't he?
He did. And well done for the manager changing the format to a 3-5-2 attacking formation. He's seen that obviously they were on the ropes a bit there. And well done. Absolutely well done for the second half performance, the formation and the attitude for the players. It looked a lot better. So I'm delighted. I said 3 points. I was happy whether it be 1-0, 2-0, as long as we got to 3 points. But Frimpong, he looked a bit like his old self, going forward, taking players on, not being afraid to take the player on and make things happen. And again, Julian coming up for that goal as well was fantastic.
Stevie, when you see a player coming in and making the impact that Frimpong made last season, what do you think the reasons are that he goes off the boil? Is it because a number of different things? Is he being coached differently to play the game slightly differently? Or are players doubling up on him? Are they sussing them out? That's the type of performance we were getting used to when he first came into the side.
I think when he's allowed to play with the freedom which he was allowed to do there, I think sometimes, you know, if we're a wee bit vulnerable at the back, they want to stay more further back, you know, make the easy pass. You see full-backs all over the world taking a touch and turning back. I think when he's going full pelt at defenders, he's going to get you fouls, he's going to create chances, and he's going to pull central defenders out to double up with his full-back. When he's at that, I think he's an excellent player. I think when he's trying to conform, then I don't think he's as good or as valuable to Celtic.
We'll go and have a look at some of the comments coming in via YouTube, Facebook and also Twitter. And the first one in is from KK87 CFC. What a difference with strikers on the park, and Frimpong impressive when he came on. Let's talk about the strikers. Obviously it's a tale of 2 strikers, I guess, when you're looking at that. Paul, you've already mentioned Klamala missed 2 chances. One I would suggest is a sitter. Kevin Graham was giving credit to the goalie. I still think he should have scored it. And the 1-on-1, a bit of show of his nerves, and he failed, didn't he? But on the flip side, Ajeti with a decisive finish.
Well, the thing about Ajeti is, I think he's demonstrated in the 2 performances that he's put in, the 2 short performances that he's put in, that you don't need to be particularly mobile to be a good predator in the box, you know, and that's clearly what the guy's game is all about. And for me, you need, if you've got that in your squad, it needs to be on the pitch as much as possible. Particularly when you're, you know, a vast majority of your games is going to be against teams that are going to come and say, well, come and break us down then. Come and break us down. Often it is like the Dundee United goal. It's a goal out of nothing in the box that actually makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need somebody on the park who can do that, you know. So I think he's proved his worth again right away, you know. So congratulations to Gary Penrose for identifying him.
Jim, over to yourself. What you've got there is you've got a guy in Klamala who I think Steve and I were talking about the fact that he looked well conditioned. All the plaudits were being levied at him earlier on in the season, Steve, with regards to his conditioning and his fitness. He's had 2 chances, missed them both. Ajeti, he does look as though he's carrying a few pounds, a wee bit of timber, yet he seems really clinical in and around the box. Do you subscribe to the fact that even though he's maybe not 100% fit, you play him?
No, really. No, really. He's got to be fit. He's got to show a fitness at training, and they will know whether they can play him for the start or they can bring him on as being an impact player later on in the game where his fitness will suit. If players are tired in the second half, it gives him that a wee opportunity to get ahead. But to have him on for the start, I don't think so.
We're looking at the Celtic TV full-time analysis. Gordon Strachan and John Hartson, two guys at the different ends of the scale when it came to fitness and football. You know, Strachan was a teetotaler who lived on a banana diet, whereas John Hartson, I think, liked a bucket of Monster Mints from time to time. But it didn't do him any harm, Stevie.
I just thought the difference when Klimala came on, he was making centre forward runs in, makes a run away and pulls a defender. If you're a centre forward, you're going to do it. Diets. Diego Costa, does he look the fittest guy in the world? No, but he can play all right. Mm-hmm. So you don't. Everybody doesn't have to be a real life guy.
No, they don't. They don't, Stevie. With the two strikers up top, when we went to the 3-5-2 formation, bang on. They know how to take players away because they're taught that as strikers to take players away. Take them out the game. They don't always need to be on the ball. He's away, leaving space for the midfielders to come through to support and to become the supporting strikers. So well done for that. So the two strikers worked well, taking players away, creating space for others to come through. And I thought we became very balanced there. I thought we were balanced. Especially in maybe the last 15 minutes of the game, we looked comfortable. We came on. Kamala, with that one, he went through 1-on-1, wasn't it?
Yep.
Maybe we were talking, maybe a wee dink over the top. Again, we matches behind him as well. Maybe we'd have done that, but everybody misses them on 1-on-1s. I'd like to have seen the guys score it. I'd have been delighted for him because it was good how he broke. Obviously, the Motherwell player slipped, but he became the opportunist, which every striker should be, and in he went. But maybe the next time.
If Ayeti is going to be your centre forward,
yeah.
When was the last guy that we had as a centre forward who just wanted to play between the sticks? Everybody, I think, since Gary Hooper has wanted to join in with play and be a 9/10 player.
Aye.
I'm quite happy for my centre forward just to play between the sticks and score goals.
Aye. Be that good opportunist in the box as well, Stevie. Aye, bang on.
Paul, you made a good point in the first half or at half time in relation to the fact that we bring in Turnbull, and McGregor has probably the finest game that we've seen him in all season.
Yeah, I just think that there's, as I was saying at half time, I think there's been a lot of criticism aimed at Christie this season already. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that McGregor's made much of a contribution up until today. I would agree with him being given man of the match today. I think it's the effectiveness of the things that he done today. He made the right decisions. Good passes, defensively very strong as well. But I think in the second half, both him and Christie looked very lively for the first minute of the second half, and I think that changed the balance of the game completely. I thought in the first half we still looked a wee bit suspect when Motherwell were breaking, but I think when they two got a grip of the game very early in the second half, then it always, I think it's a great situation for strikers to come on to be perfectly honest with you. And I agree with Stevie that the fact that the two Motherwell central defenders then have a striker to occupy their minds leaves a wee bit more space further up the pitch for they two to play.
Stevie, let's talk a wee bit more about the guy who opened the score in James Forrest. We've mentioned the fact that he comes in for a lot of criticism, the much maligned Forrest, as you called him, at the beginning of the game. I think he came on to a very good game today. Were you impressed with his performance? Some of the audience are saying that he should have been man of the match.
I thought he was man of the match because his positivity. Again, maybe he's not going to be the best defender, but he always gives you a shift. The versatility, they can go from right back to left wing back. He has played through the middle for Celtic, scored the goal, another one off the bar. I thought he had an outstanding performance today, and well done to James Forrest.
He can play anywhere, can he?
I think he's got a great natural ability. Yeah. He's got a bit of pace. Sometimes, to use a Glasgow word, he's maybe a wee bit fierce, but you can't have everything.
Mm-hmm. You've had 5 good ones so far, Stevie. The Feart one, I'm not too sure is up there with the other 5, but the one you mentioned earlier about the balloons, I've got that logged in. I'll need to remember to mark that in for one of your best comments of the season. That's 6 you've got.
I think an interesting point about today's game, Paul, was the introduction of Frimpong in a more advanced position.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're an opposition manager, you've got to look at the way that young boy burst onto the scene last year.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to look at he's quite lightweight.
Yeah.
So you've got to, when he plays against you, you've got to press him back into a defensive position, which is probably not the strongest area of the pitch for him. I think it's significant he's brought him on that far up the pitch. I thought we saw a couple of glimpses of it on Wednesday night, and clearly he was brought on with that intent today to play further up the pitch. He wasn't brought on as a right back. He was brought on as a wide midfield player.
Okay.
And his drives into his drives forward and diagonally into the box caused real problems for Motherwell the whole second half.
I was really impressed with him as well, Paul, and I think it was also good that the likes of Forrest is so adaptable, as Stevie says. He just switches over to the left. He did well against Dundee United on the left when he came on, and we do have the personnel, but I still think at the back I've still got some concerns at the back. I don't particularly think that Ayer and Julian are a bad combination, you know. I think they're quite a good partnership at the back, but it seems as though we chop and change it every week, formation wise and obviously personnel as well. But when you see the finishing of Julian, he's got quite a good goal scoring record for Celtic, and you know he was cool as a cucumber when he finished that. Stevie, what do you think we need to do in terms of the back line? Do we try and stick to a 3 at the back and then it's El Hamid, Ayer and Julian? How would you actually look at that and change it?
I would have a preference for 3 with a dominant centre half and the 2 guys on either side. If we're going to play with 4, I think one of the 2's got to go and you bring in the dominant centre half. Because I think we come up against a more robust centre forward, one of them's going to get ragdolled.
Ragdolled, are you going to add that to your list as well, Jim?
No, that's not as good as some of his other ones. That's just a normal saying, because Stevie used to ragdoll players all over the place anyway. So that's not one of his best ones.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I thought you were more cultured than that, Stevie. If you want,
It was definitely more cultured than that, Paul.
But a 3-5-2 system, we went there. I would look for a settled formation, Paul. I would look for a settled formation, and my settled formation would be a 3-5-2. But then, if circumstances dictated that I wasn't able to play that, I would go back to a 4-4-2.
So if you were playing a 3-5-2, Jim, so you bring in another centre half, right?
Yeah.
That's the only change. You bring in a centre half. What would be your team with the people that's left? The personnel that's there only bringing in one centre half.
If we're bringing in Duffy,
Any dominant centre half, he's going to start. What would
Duffy,
be your...
I would take Duffy, Julian and Ayer.
Right, okay, so who else fits in then?
Still looking for that left back. I don't think young Turnbull is the answer at this particular time, but hopefully we're going to have a left back.
Were you impressed with Taylor today at left back? Are you convinced?
I think for the amount of the ball he gets, I think we need more productivity off him. Mm-hmm. I think he could probably run for 100 mile at the same pace, but he's not got a trick and he's not got a blinding pace to get by somebody. So if he doesn't hit it first time, we're never getting a cross off him. It always hits the first man.
Yeah. I think for me, every game Taylor's played this season, it's a 6.5 or a 7. And I don't think that's enough. I think it needs to be a wee bit more than that. Particularly, as Stevie says, with the passages of play and how much of the ball that he actually gets. I think he needs to be better than a 6.5 and a 7 every game.
Yeah.
We gave Neil Lennon some stick during the week. Gary Doonan is pointing out 4 goals between midweek and today. 2 scored with no recognised striker on the park and 2 scored when recognised striker on the pitch. So let's have a wee talk about Neil Lennon. We were surprised that he started with the same lineup on Wednesday. Has he been vindicated?
I don't think he's been vindicated. I think a victory's absolutely brilliant. I still can't think, if they 2 guys, Klamala comes on at half time, so why would he not be able to start? and then go off at half time if you want to play with centre. Because although you've scored a goal in the first half, it's because of absolute brilliance with Callum McGregor and a great finish with James Forrest.
Yeah.
As soon as you start getting centre forwards on the park, the whole dynamic of your game changes. I say because Christie and Cham are wanting to drop back to link up with play. Clamallin and Yetis want to get in behind because they want to score goals. You know, the goal during the week, it's a deflection. 28 shots and you score with deflection.
Yep.
So Gary usually makes great points. I think he's joining Jim's bandwagon for Neil Lennon now.
But it's not a bandwagon. But Stevie's...
He said the memo.
He said the memo, Stevie. I never got it.
By the way, it wasn't me that wrote the memo as well, Stevie. He asked me that at our fair. But no, has he been... It's... You look at today's performance and you look at Wednesday night's performance. He changed it today to a 3-5-2, Stevie, eh?
At half time.
At half time. And he could have done that in Wednesday night. He could have, and he possibly should have. He should have. No possibly about it, actually, Jim. He should have done it. And he got the result today. I'm delighted we got the result today. And I'm delighted for Neil Lennon today as well. But I would like to say that you look at Scott Brown. Scott Brown, during the week, whether he's been prompted to say there's no divide or whatever, or he's been instructed to say that, today showed that there was a lot more player harmony than there was, it seemed to be, in Wednesday night. So if Scott Brown's done the trick there as well, well done on him as being the captain, because we've said that at the beginning of the season he's a major force in keeping everything together as well.
So what do you think would have happened then, Jim, between Wednesday and today when Neil came out after the game and says about the attitude of players who want to leave? Because apart from one of them, they all started the day.
Aye.
So what would have changed for they guys, because they all played pretty well today?
They did, Stevie. What has changed? I think they've possibly all sat down and they've had a discussion between them. And if there is indifference in opinions between some of the players and the manager, or likes or dislikes, I hope they've put it to the side to get out and want to be the professionals that they are and play the game and play it and play to win. So what the overall conversation between them all is, or what the major change is, I think it's just possibly been sitting down and having a talk with each other, and Scott Brown being the captain that we think he is. Other than that, I don't really know, Stevie.
Going to a point here from South Africa, Daniel McGalpine. After today's performance, did you guys not bash the team too much in the week? I don't think so, no, because we're still out of Europe, and today's performance was adequate. I mean, it wasn't earth-shatteringly brilliant. It was fine, and it was what we needed today. But the mistake was still made on Wednesday night, and we still bounced out of Europe.
Yeah, I think that, nobody's made the point about the difference in quality between Ferencváros and Motherwell. I think Motherwell are probably, they're in a real difficult situation at the moment as a club. Mm-hmm. Confidence is low. They're losing goals regularly. Mm-hmm. I think if Celtic would have won 1-0 today, I don't think we would have been as satisfied as they are at the moment. It was important for them to score more than one goal today, because Motherwell are poor, and they are, as far as I'm concerned, they're definitely technically poorer than Ferencváros. So I just don't think we were ready for that quality opposition on Wednesday for some reason.
Do you think Motherwell have come to that point? And we've probably seen it with Aberdeen as well, with Derek McInnes, where Robinson's maybe taken him as far as he possibly could. We always hear the terminology about people punching above their weight, and Motherwell have done particularly well. In the absence of any team playing out of Ibrox, Motherwell were up there. They were competing in cup finals against Celtic. I don't know if Robinson can keep that going. We've seen it also with St Johnstone, didn't we? Under Tommy Wright, the last couple of seasons, they just weren't the same kind of force. Is that where Robinson is with Motherwell just now?
I would kind of back Motherwell still for the top six at this moment in time. I think he'll find his way out of this, and I wouldn't be surprised if they end up a top six team by the end of the season. I think he's a good character, Robinson, in that respect. I think he's quite a mentally tough guy, and I think he can turn that around. But certainly at this moment in time, they're on the ropes a wee bit. So I would fully expected a Celtic team to go out there and as I say, my prediction before the game was 4-0, you know.
What about Chris Ayer then? Chris Ayer was dropped after the Kilmarnock game. Julien, who was highly criticised after that game, remained as your kind of first pick at centre half. He's come back in during the week. He looked pretty composed to me today, and we were talking about the speculation around Ayer's future. He's made it known, I think, via his agent or numerous agents, that he might fancy a move elsewhere. Is it the right time for him as a player, Stevie, to move? I still think there's development in Ayer yet, and he'd be better staying where he is to have that development before making a move.
I don't think he's a natural defender. I think he looks like a midfielder playing in defence. Coming out with the ball, very elegant, can create space, joins in with play. I think when he's defending, for me, he's on his bum too much. And I don't think you can defend. I love defenders who always play with a back to goal, no running towards their own goal. Because if you've got your back to goal, the play's in front of you. If you're running towards your own goal, always think you're at a loss to what to do and what's coming behind you. And I think that's Christopher Ayer's problem.
You had an interesting discussion with the behind-the-scenes guy, Kevin Graham, today, in relation to, a lot of people say play him in midfield, but you were pointing out that the effectiveness of his galloping runs forward would be less effective if he was in the middle of the park.
Well, I think that he would be matched up with another midfielder. So when he goes in, there's somebody always waiting for him to go in. If he comes from the back, somebody's got to come off a man. So he's got his pace, he's got in and creating space. So if somebody comes out, he's always got another pass. I think it would be, if he was to be playing midfield, I think the only position he could possibly play would be the holding midfielder, just sitting in front of the back four, because he's got a nice range of passing. He's tall, he could do that. I don't think he's got the mobility to go through and play as a midfielder.
Now, John Sweeney's commenting via YouTube. For anyone who's watching on that platform, make sure you subscribe. It's free of charge, and we put bulletins out on a daily basis. John Sweeney, with the break coming up, hopefully a couple of new players in, where do we still think we need to strengthen then, having seen the good and the bad of Celtic this week?
Going to the issue of three at the back, I don't know what Stephen has in mind with a dominant centre half. I just think that you need a good communicator in there. I think if you play three at the back, you've got to have pace at the back. I think Ayer's decent pace. I don't think Julian's much of a slouch, to be honest with you. But you need a good communicator, because for me, there's far too many situations where you see them too far apart, and they're not aware of each other enough for me. And I need somebody in there that can communicate with both of them. Tell them what areas of the pitch they should be, what's going on around about them, and things like that. You're
bang on, Paul, because in that 3-5-2 formation, they can't be too far apart. It's like an elastic band. You stretch it and it snaps. That's why on that back three, they've got to work tight, hand in hand. But a wee elegant player in there as well would be good. Would be good. He teaching them a few different things, and when to go, when not to go, when to hold, when to close down. But equally, good, strong pace at the back is what you need for that formation on that 3-5-2 formation. So, but what you also need again there as well is your left mid and your right mid being able to come in and defend with that back three. So there's a wee bit in there. So you need the elegance in there. I would agree with Stephen that Ayer coming into the midfield, he wouldn't be a workhorse in there. He would be more in that centre back sitting role, but you would need the other two players run about him to do the work, whether it be coming back or whether it be going forward. So two good points for you guys. The guys asking there about players coming in. I think Neil Lennon should have the notes and all the players that's coming in. Strong points. That's possibly that we're looking at. Strong points for players coming in that we're looking at. Then whittle it down. Then we should look for round about maybe a maximum of 4 run about the field where we want to focus on. That's what Brendan Rodgers done, and that was his philosophy. That was his philosophy. When David Moss was working with him as well, they would get players in and then they would whittle it down. So I would like, hopefully, Neil Lennon involved with the players who's possibly coming in, having a look and saying, that's the guys I want, that's the guys that we want together. So on the transfer market, you're asking whereabouts. Definitely left back, definitely a wide right player, definitely. And would we be looking for a centre mid as well in there?
I wouldn't guess so after Turnbull's coming in, Jim. I would think that.
Where would you play Turnbull?
At the moment, he's going to have to find a place in the team because I wouldn't make any changes just to accommodate him at this moment in time. I don't think Encham had a bad game today. I don't think he had a bad game on Wednesday night either. To be fair.
I think Kevin made a great point at half time when we were talking about the boy Taylor with 2 great seasons at Kilmarnock under Steve Clark, a defensive thing.
Yeah.
So if we got a good left back, we've just not got a good left-sided midfielder to give him defensive
Well
cover.
well done, Stevie. Stevie's right, because if you've got that left back in there and a good left midfielder makes him the better player with understanding the defensive system is what coming in as a defensive left midfielder. And we go back, I think we spoke about
Tosh and John Collins.
John Collins. There was a great combination, Paul. John Collins, what a player. And he actually helped make Tosh, I think, a better player, Stevie.
Made him an internationalist.
Absolutely.
So do you think El Yunusi then, because he's your first choice left mid, if you like, or forward attacking player on the left, is his defensive work maybe not up to scratch then?
I don't think he looks as if that's his position. I think he likes playing one in. But again, if you're going to start getting into that competition with McGregor, Encham, Christie, is he going to get into the team in front of him in the middle or one in? I wouldn't think so. So the only position that you see for him is wide left, but he's not got great defensive cover.
No.
Interesting views coming in via the social media sites, and we are welcoming new users and new viewers all the time. So Kenny Wilson via YouTube, 3-5-2 is clearly the way forward. Frimpong looked brilliant as a wing back compared to him playing full back. I agree with that. I've never found him defensively. For me, a defender. He's not got the qualities, and I don't just mean his stature. I know he's a wee guy and he's quite slightly built. I think he's an attacking player all day long. So we do definitely need a right back then, because the only recognised right back we've got is El Hamid.
Yeah, but Frimpong, again, I think when we seen him get in it, he right back, because did he play in a 3-5-2 formation? No, he didn't. No,
He was playing an out and out right back.
He was an out and out right back. So when he came in, he was a right back, with the possibility of going forward in an attacking role. But I think you and Stephen discussed this in a previous show, that no, we would like to see him up there attacking, because defensively he's no what we're looking for, and in stature and presence as well as a right back, he's no the guy to be in there. So a right back I would put in there as well. Then I would put a right back in there.
If we're talking about going 3-5-2, though, we seem to be concentrating a lot on full-backs. You know, for me, I'd said about centre-half, it was a good communicator. Another attribute for me would be if he was a natural left-sided player. Because I think for a number of years, even through Brendan's time and that, we always looked unbalanced in the central defensive area with the left-sided central defensive situation. I didn't feel that we ever had a natural left footer playing in that area, and it affected the balance of the team.
The comment about 3-5-2, I think when you're playing at home and you're playing against teams like Motherwell, Hamilton, we should be playing with 2 up front, 3 at the back. But I would still like to have the personnel to be playing 4 at the back if necessary. I think that's key. And at the moment, we don't have the cover at right or left back.
No,
necessary to do that.
You don't. And but again, when we're attacking in that 3-5-2 formation, when then we're coming back to defend, that's where you possibly need your good holding centre mid, or the guy just in front. I think we discussed that earlier with Stevie. The guy just sitting in front of the 3, slotting in, and the one centre back moves across to the right, and he slots into the left. So we could look at that as well. But a right back at the moment, if you're going for a 4-4-2 and a left back, are we saying between us all here that's what we need?
Oh, definitely. Without a doubt, and a centre half. So 3 defenders need to come in the
I
next couple of weeks.
think, and again, it just varies from what Paul's saying. I think if you want to play a 3-back, if I was picking my team and it was 3-back, I would want the dominant centre forward who goes, and either the other two guys can go and sweep, behind it. So he just goes to win all the balls in the centre. Whether if you're playing against the big guys, he can go right, he can go left, just solely to win the ball, and the other two guys can play as sweepers behind him and cover the space. The gap between the two central defenders are now, as you seen the other night when the goal scored, is huge.
It's too wide, Steve.
So we need to close that gap. Paul's great, it's go somebody left. I just want somebody who can win the ball in the air and be dominant to knock it up. Dare say it like a Bobo. People are scared to go, so he's got a free header at the ball because they're scared of him. I don't think anybody would be scared to play against their two central defenders just now.
I don't know. I think Julian's a bit of presence, Stephen. I think Julian's a bit of presence, and I think if we had a natural left-sided player and a good organiser along with those two, I think that the problem with Ayer is every time he's facing his own goal, as you mentioned earlier, if you had somebody that communicated properly and could manage him through that situation, I think he could become a better player. I think if he was playing on the right side rather than the left side as he is at the moment, I think he would be a more effective player as well.
Yeah, aye. But again, if you've got somebody like a big Baldy in there, or players that are players that as a forward you're coming up against, you're going, I don't really want to get against him. I'm going to do whatever I can to stay away from him. If you've got that guy at the back that's got that special presence, then that makes it even more a fear for those strikers to get in. And we've just not got that at the moment.
But we can make an example, Jim. I think we go back to Pat Stanton, who made Roddy McDonald an internationalist. But you're able to play behind him, tell him how to play, where to go and when to be there. I think we look a wee bit disjointed at the back because I don't think all the guys who's playing at the back are bad players. I don't think we'd have brought on all the bad players, but they don't look a good unit.
Aye. No, you're right. It's the unit part that's the most important. Individually, they're all good players. There's no bad players there. They're good players, but working and playing together to make them the unit is what we need.
Well, a Celtic State of Mind will continue to provide daily bulletins even if there's no fixtures coming up over the next 10 days or so. So please continue to tune in via Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. But all that's left for me to say today is, gentlemen, thank you for joining me on a Celtic State of Mind.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.